And speaking of wrestling, favorite Diamond Dallas Page moment. BRF, you go first.
Ah, well, considering Diamond Dallas Page is on my Mount Rushmore of the WCW, I got to try and do him justice as far as picking a favorite moment because the crazy thing about Diamond Dallas Page is he's a late bloomer. He really
Yes,
didn't get. He really didn't become like a superstar until like his late 30s. He became a
right.
superstar in his like mid to late 30s. And but it was like but the blow up was just so crazy you couldn't help but like, buy the merch or the action figures or the video games were coming out. Diamond Dallas Page was one of your favorite people to play with just because you wanted to do the diamond cut on each and every person you laid hands on playing WCW NWO World Tour or WCW NWO Revenge. If you haven't played either one of those games, I highly suggest you get a Nintendo 64 and go play them. Two of the better video games wrestling you'll ever play. But I digress. Um, Favorite Diamond Dallas Page moment. Um, to be honest with you, I would probably have to go. This is definitely a W. It's definitely a WCW moment. This was definitely peak DDP. Um, a lot of people will say the first time he won the world championship, and that moment was definitely up there. But honestly, one of my favorite matches was Starcade 1998 when he wrestled the Giant. And that whole storyline, that whole match was built around how was he going to hit the diamond cutter on the Giant, who at the time he was billed at 7'4", 553 pounds. So at that time, it was all that match was built around how's he going to get the diamond cutter on the Giant, and that was a surprisingly good. That was a good match. I mean, that was like prime Paul White, Paul the Giant, prime Giant at the time, where he had his athleticism, he had his ability to move around the ring. Like, I think, in my opinion, he's the scariest athlete. I know some people say Andre the Giant was it might be the scariest athlete ever. I think it's Big Show Giant. I think he's the scariest just because of some of the things he could do in the ring, like at his peak. I mean, he could chain. I mean, at his size, he could chain wrestle. He could do so many things at his size. I mean, he was scary. So it was the moment where we're getting close to the end of the match. Giant, he's trying to get the choke slam on him. He's got him in the goozle. DDP hits him with a clean low blow. And this was like around the time WCW they hit a point where I will just say they weren't calling a lot of disqualifications. Referees were letting some stuff go. So he hits a direct low blow in front of the ref. And the Giant just it knocks him down and he shakes it off and he puts him on the turnbuckle. He puts him all the way at the top rope. So the Giant has his hands on his neck. He goes to choke slam him. DDP in midair turns that bad boy into a diamond cutter and lays him out in the middle of the ring and gets a 1, 2, 3. One of the coolest diamond cutters I've ever seen him do. That's
Yeah.
why for me, my favorite DDP moments were all the innovative ways he put the diamond cutter on people. Just like you had that moment. There was a match against Eddie Guerrero, I believe it was WCW Saturday Night. He kind of put him in like a rack. He put him in a power bomb, kind of put him in like almost like a rack position, like a show, like almost like an over the top backbreaker position. Turns it into a diamond cutter. Hey, don't get me wrong. The RKO for me is like the end all be all of finishers. Randy Orton has evolved that thing into a whole nother level. But we gotta give the OG, we gotta give the originator is just due. Diamond Dallas Page will hit that thing in so many different ways. You're just like every time you watch, it's like, okay, how is he gonna hit it this week? He'll do it like a bulldog, run him out the corner. He'll throw him against the turnbuckle. He'll run against the ropes. He'll catch him there and just it was just, he was that's what really got Diamond Dallas Page over. It was just his ability to hit the diamond cutter from any spot in the ring. It didn't matter where you were, he could catch you. And that's what ultimately really, really got him over. And his promo work. Underrated promo guy, underrated mic worker was Diamond Dallas Page. But yeah, any chance I got to see the Diamond Cutter hit on somebody in a way you're not expecting it was just like that was peak Diamond Dallas. That was peak Diamond Dallas Page. And he did. And hey, we're not gonna say he didn't have good matches. He arguably gave Goldberg his best WCW match at Halloween Havoc. He arguably gave him his best match. Was it Halloween Havoc or Super Brawl?
It's
I think it
Halloween
was
Havoc.
Halloween. It was
Halloween
Halloween
Havoc.
Havoc. It was Halloween Havoc. He arguably gave Goldberg his best match in WCW. The matches he had with Sting were always bangers, and just like I said, he's on my Mount Rushmore of WCW. My Mount Rushmore of WCW is Goldberg, Sting, Booker T, Diamond Dallas Page, and I'll leave it at that.
Champ.
Oh man, love the Diamond. Hey man, look, you can attest to this, BRF. Remember when guys used to come running down, in the hallway in middle school, elementary school, Diamond Cutter. So you
All
remember
the
that?
time.
Yeah, all the
All
time.
the time.
Before the RKO, it was the Diamond Cutter, man. And what's so funny about that? It was just like the RKO because they always used to say, "You never see it coming." It was crazy. So love that, man. That was a big part of my childhood. Going down here, Diamond Cutter. You know what I'm saying? Long before people was doing the RKO and doing it for views and clicks on the internet, we was doing that stuff in the hallways in our high school gyms and our middle school gyms, all the way back in elementary school when Diamond Dallas Page was at his peak. So big ups to Diamond Dallas Page. Look, I gotta say this. He won Fall Brawl War Games in order to get that match with Goldberg at Halloween Havoc. And that was a star-studded match. You had him, Piper, and the Ultimate Warrior on Team WCW. You had Lex Luger, Kevin Nash, and Sting on NWO Red and Black. And then you had Stevie Ray and Hulk Hogan on the and Bret Hart on Team NWO Black and White. So that was a star-studded war game. So him winning that in order to get his shot at the WCW title, to get his shot at Goldberg was crazy. And I love that for him. Not to mention, people don't even realize, and I'm just going by memory here, so many people challenged him in order to take his place at Halloween Havoc. Remember when Raven challenged him to take his place at Halloween Havoc? Alex Wright, just to name a few. They tried to challenge him in order to take his place at Halloween Havoc. That one was good. The most underrated rivalry, arguably, in the world was him versus the Macho Man Randy Savage. That was the most. I think that was in 90. I think that was in 97, wasn't it? Was it not?
Believe it was 97.
In Slamboree, Tupelo, Mississippi. And it was a lot of controversy behind that one. And matter of fact, that was Wrestling Rivalry of the Year. And remember when he disguised himself as La Parka in order to
Yes.
the Savage in the Diamond Cutter?
Yes.
That one was cool. Facing Goldberg and giving Goldberg his best match at Halloween Havoc, that was good. Him winning the European title in WWE against Christian. I know that wasn't the WWE title, but that did prove that he could do something in the WWE. I'm glad they did not just make him a sideshow act. So I'm glad that he won the European title in WWE. Oh, ain't nobody brought this up. I'm so surprised. Remember when they thought he was about to join the NWO Black and White?
Oh
Yeah.
yeah.
Remember when they thought he was about to join Black and White? The welcoming committee, Scott Hall, Kevin Nash came out, gave him an NWO shirt. All of a sudden, he goes to shake a hand, pulls him back, bang! The crowd just goes wild. Then he pulls down the rope and escapes through the crowd. Look, long before anybody made it popular, DDP was going through the crowd. He was going through the crowd. And I think Edge and a lot of other guys followed suit after that. He was going through the crowd. I mean, without security. So Diamond Dallas Page is he's one of the all time greats. I hate that he was a. I wish we could have seen a little bit more of him had WCW been alive, and I hate the fact that a lot of. Oh yeah, let's not forget Jay Leno. The whole Jay Leno moment. Jay Leno, him being on the Jay Leno show. Not too many people get to do that, man. I never forget. And I watched that. Hey, I got a friend of yours, Diamond Dallas Page. Take him out of here. So, and I actually thought that was real. I'm like, ain't no way they got the fighting on the night show. I mean, they came over. The NWO that came over and took on the Tonight Show, and then DDP and Jay Leno ran them off. Then that Hog Wild, Roll Wild when they was in Sturgis, with that wrestling match with Kevin Newbake's coming out, that was good. The match was kind of like what it was, but that was a big moment for wrestling. It draws more fans because who didn't like Jay Leno if you was the Night Show fan? So
yeah,
I mean, a lot of great moments for DDP, man. I just hate on the tail end of WCW he got caught up in the Russo curse, but then again, Russo did put him over and finally gave him the opportunity to give him his first WCW title.
May I
But
intrude, champ?
yeah,
Do you remember when Russo came up with the idea for David Arquette to win the title?
yeah,
Oh,
that's what I was getting to. But great minds think alike as usual, man. But yeah, I hate that he had to be a
Diamond
part.
Dallas Page hated the idea, and Bischoff was the one to oversee it. And Bischoff was willing to do it, all because he wanted to be a team player.
Yeah, I
But
hate
they
that.
knew it was a terrible idea.
Yeah, I
so
hate
many
that.
things. So many things they could have did outside of giving David Arquette the world
And
heavyweight
no
championship.
disrespect to David Arquette, nothing against him as a human being, but it is horrible, nevertheless, that a guy who's had no experience in the wrestling business, he gets the title, and shout out to David Arquette because Booker T actually gave him credit. There was one time in which David Arquette told Booker T, "How many times you've won the title?" Booker T told him, "I ain't won any."
Yeah, and that's unfortunate. But I hate that he didn't get a major push by WWE. I understand him winning the European title, but I hate that he was such a late bloomer. And I think being on his age played a part in it as well.
Oh
I hate
Yeah.
that him getting the WWE so late. I think if he would have got there when he was at his peak in WCW, I think he would have been a great player. I think they could have booked him a lot more. But yeah, tricking the NWO, winning Fall Brawl War Games, the Macho Man rivalry, the La Parka, giving Goldberg his best match, and you know, a lot of great moments for the great DDP, man. And I watch a lot of his motivational speaking stuff, but that's about. I'll leave it at that. I'm not going to steal anybody's thunder, but I like DDP. DDP was and still is, and he's been wrestling for 5 decades, and you know that was this one was it touches me because of the nostalgia of it. I like I said, I was a mere child when I was watching DDP, and even when he went to WWE during the invasion angle, that was something special just to see him in the WWE ring for the first time. And so there's a lot of other moments, but you know we got to keep it rated G because it was a big. The moment that I want to speak of is it was a big moment for wrestling. Unfortunately, it's tainted because of who was involved. So
My favorite moment of Diamond Dallas Page when he won the title the first time, and especially how he fooled NWO. But it's what he's doing right now. I mean, you look at what he's done for some of the wrestlers, Jake the Snake Roberts, before Wrestlers Soul Sky Hall. You look at what he's doing for a lot of wrestlers. Tip your hats off to him. And he has becoming a motivational speaker, a motivational guy. I mean, he's the wrestling version of Tony Robbins. And he just finds a way. And I got to give major kudos to Diamond Dallas Page for that. And the fact that he was able to be that accomplished at such a late bloomer, because normally that doesn't happen. You're supposed to have success when you're young in your career, but for him to have that late of success, I mean, wow. I just, to your point, champ, and as you always say, great minds think alike. I just wish Vince Russo could have utilized them better, but unfortunately, he had to be subjected to Vince Russo. Ask Jim Cornette that. I mean, his colorfulness self. But Diamond Dallas Page, as a motivational guy, I mean, he helps out people. Shout out to one of his ex-wives because she was the one who convinced Diamond Dallas Page to try yoga. Because at first, Diamond Dallas Page did not want to try yoga. He thought it was silly. But no, it's actually a great way to help out with stress, a lot of other things. Diamond Dallas Page, the work that he's doing now to help people off whatever problems they have, substance abuse, weight issues, whatever the case may be. If you need help, go look at Diamond Dallas Page. Go look at some of the great things that he's done. And I think that's important to give recognition for, especially the hard work that he does, man. So tip your hats off to Diamond Dallas Page.
I want to two more quick things. First off, the entrance music, the peak entrance music, smells like Teen Spirit, Nirvana. The way he took that and made it his own. And Champ talked about, before going walking, before the crowd entrances were cool. DDP was doing that, and just the energy that it brought. That his entrance music, and then the pyro where he did the diamond sign and he did the bang and the pyro, and then he runs through the crowd and just gets everybody lit. Was just, hey man, that was peak. I mean, he was just getting over in so many ways. But let me tell you something. I keep track of that, him and what he's doing with DDP Yoga, and just some of the amazing things he's done with that. I'm telling you right now, if he gets Lex Luger to walk again, bro, I might have to try. I might have to get on that myself.
Yeah,
If he gets Lex Luger to walk again, I might have to seriously consider doing that myself for weight loss purposes. Because I mean, he practically saved Jake the Snake Roberts' life. He had practically saved Scott Hall's life before God rest his soul. He went through the hip surgery, and all the complications came after that. Like you brought up Butterbean, you brought up Marcus Bagwell. I think he's
yeah.
trying to do something. He's trying to do something with Scotty Riggs now too. Just like so many wrestlers he's trying to help. And I'm like, and Butterbean, you brought up Butterbean. If he gets Lex Luger to walk, like,
That's a
bro,
miracle. That's a
that
miracle.
I'm telling you.
Absolutely. But shout outs to the great Diamond Dallas Page, man. And next week for the Sports PSP pod for wrestling, the coach. Favorite Jonathan Coachman moment.
I like that.
Yep.
That's a good one.